Hello, welcome to my channel for Evolved Humans. I am Ms. Day. So, right before this reading, I heard a fun song. It is not funny. It's like not a fun reason that I heard this song, but the song itself is fun. So, it is called X's and O's, and I don't remember who sings it. I'm going to find out who. But it's like what I was hearing was, "'Cause I'm the best baby that they never gotta keep." And it's really actually kind of sad because at the same time that I heard that song, I was thinking of cord cutting and how like people do different cord cutting techniques or like practices, ways of doing that. I am not against it because I think that I do a thing where I interact with my own space, like my air and my voice and my body, where like I will ask for help removing someone from my entire spine. Like I don't want to experience that interaction anymore. I don't want to experience that information. And it's so weird because as soon as that started at the beginning, I feel like a huge thing is that whoever you are, you need to consciously release maybe even people's voices in your head that like repeat, because it seems like you have a lot of different interactions that either you have right now or you just sort of like grew up and into experiencing, just lots and lots of like little connections, but it feels so much like even if some of these people are supposed to be close to you, it feels acquaintance-y, and it feels that you always have an arm's length in front of you, even if you don't physically. And I don't even, not in a cold way either. More so like you're just a giver. You just do that. And I think this is so sad, but I feel this is like a reading that I did the other day too, that I'm hearing in my head, something that was a message throughout the day, was that when all you have is good intentions, then people, like when you are so willing to allow other people to be the focus, that you can be taken advantage of. It's like it's easy for people that take advantage of other people to take advantage of you if you are constantly interacting with your own love for this person. It was deep before it began. Like, it was so... This cord cutting thing, I feel like whoever this reading resonates with, I say a lot, but super independent by nature. You're cool being alone. When you're alone, you're cool doing things alone, even if you have relationships that are close. And just an independent person, maybe an independent healer even, like where you're not a group healer, you're not a group crier. And it feels that the cord cutting thing is something that maybe you need to allow your focus on and to see it in a positive light, where it is you giving your own voice a space. Like your own energy needs a space in the air, no matter what relationship you are dealing with, even little bitty ones. Because when you are a huge force of love, no matter who you're interacting with, and that's who it feels like a very nice what a lame word I landed on. Just a very warm, large warmth. And I feel like it instantly made me think that you needed to know that your voice spoken into the air, alone, like all alone, you just speaking out for your own self is allowed. It's not only allowed, it can give you something that other people aren't giving you. Good God. I heard this song and I kept hearing it before this reading and I was like not gonna say it because this is not one of my songs. It's cute, it's a sweet one, so like I'm not even gonna say anything. But it's coming into the reading, which I think, okay, it was the song Roar, I think, by Katy Perry. I was like hearing, I went from zero to my own hero. That is what, like, I'm hearing in my head right now. And that's because this doesn't even feel like it's between you and other people. This does not feel like, okay, for example, someone that I just spoke to in past several weeks, she was like, I found the coolest YouTube video, and it was like a meditative cord cutting experience. No idea what it was or anything, but she loved it, and she really experienced, like, she really felt like she released a relationship that she hadn't really even invested in. It was just something that she kind of was like, she's just a really wonderful, warm, giving person. And so she had to really release big, whereas maybe the other person didn't because they just aren't the same person. So she had a huge release. And she was like, it's so weird that I had that much emotion and I didn't even think I cared. And this is... okay, you know, my middle child, this is crazy. It's making me think of every single person that was like independent and just kept going forward and like drifted away from asking for their needs to be met because it's like that was their call. That was like how they kind of, that was their plea. Like, help me, here I drift away. It makes me think of that, where it's like someone who's so accustomed to having their needs overlooked or even just overcome by some big events. That happens too, especially with a lot of kids' childhood. Like, if you have like a sibling with like health issues or anything, behavioral issues, who knows? So, anyway, this made me think. My middle child, she has a tendency to speak softer when her big sister is around. She has a tendency to feel like she's not as welcome in the air in her own home when she's spending time with her big sister, because her big sister is the opposite of that, where she's like, bam, like she'll put her voice out there. And so my younger daughter, I just like had this interaction with her in recent several weeks where I realized all that she needed to do was use her voice bigger, like use her voice in a louder way and start like forcing herself to have a place wherever she is. And I've even mentioned that in readings in here with taking her to the grocery store where she doesn't take the time to breathe. She's like just trying to get out of everybody's way. And I'm like, no, you're all right. Like, you're allowed to be a human just like they are. Like, you have a second. If you're freaking out a little bit, like, you can breathe. Nobody's going to push you over, And it even makes me tense in my chest, which is making me feel like that's what someone in here does when you have recognized, or when, as every time that you realize that people don't really see you the exact way that you actually are under there. It's painful to recognize that. And it's another thing. Crazy. Okay. This sounds harsh, but I feel like it's a good little parallel. Like, I feel one of the things that I've heard on a YouTube video, I think it was, I don't know who it was, but they said, like, it was many people probably, but they were like, don't ever wake up late, because then you'll be chasing the day. You'll be chasing that time you lost the whole rest of the day, and you're never going to find it. You're never going to catch up. And I feel like that applies in this moment, because going forward, it's like you have to have the time to process the reality that chasing outside validation for your inside experience and for your external experiences, you're never going to find out here what it feels like to actually feel it in here. It's never going to come from out here in the ways that I think in as intensely as what you've been through. Like, this reading feels like part of the reason you are taken advantage of is because you have walked through such deep, dark trenches and come out of it looking, or even just outwardly projecting, as though you're unscathed, like you're fine. And I feel like you need to protect your right to still have had your own experience. And that means your voice needs to get louder. Okay, so that was it. In the beginning, when I was looking at it, it made me think of when I have literally had to release some things. This is also making me think of someone who has done like shrooms or something. So I don't know that's not everybody for sure. But like, there are certain experiences where people have an emotional release, and that you could really compare to a cord cutting. So this is where, as you go through whatever is going on in your mind, at all times, you're interacting with whoever you have a relationship with, whoever you have an interaction with, at whatever level. And so it's like the way that you always have. So just like imagine having a low frequency interaction with someone, and it is low frequency if you're being taken advantage of. Like, if you're giving more than someone else is even willing to recognize coming at them, that they're receiving from you, it's like it seems as though your thoughts will be clearer if you remove some of these other people that have sentences and words and thoughts and advice and like outlooks that actually don't align with your internal sense of like right from wrong. And I think not even just right from wrong, but like your height, your peak at whatever it is you want to accomplish with like these learned things. So, okay. So the cord cutting thing that is funky is that you have to protect yourself sometimes by literally realizing that even though they didn't invest as much and as intensely as you did, because that's what you do, like you give big because you are big. So it's like when someone doesn't give that back, what do we do in like horrible relationships? And like when people do ridiculous, you can watch a negative situation like in a documentary and just you can be racking your own brain for, the entire day. Like, how can they do that? How could someone do that? How could someone do that to their loved one? How could someone go through with it? How could someone just stand by? And it's like, as you do that, it's because of how you feel about the information. So that's why it matters what you're taking in, what you're consuming, and then what you're going to do with it. And some people can't watch that type of stuff because they're so deeply emotional about it. They're like, I don't have time to go through trauma every day of my life. But like with this feels like you're going to feel better. You don't have to like let go of certain people that you've decided to hold on to, but it's like you're going to feel better in the long run if you give yourself like the words of what you want to get rid of. You don't have to carry every single thing that everybody that you've ever interacted with. Like, if you have a relationship with someone and it has low frequency information with it, the low frequency is not going to become high frequency no matter how much time you spend trying to see it in the way that you see things. Like, if you can't align the information that you're interacting with reality as you feel fit to be processed throughout your own human and in your life, like, does it fit into your life in a healthy way? Then I feel like that's not being able to exist in your own air around you. That's not existing in your own vehicle enough. Like, if they only have like all of these pew pew, like low frequency sort of spews at you, and that's what you have to work with all of these different connections, and no one ever really gets the full interaction with you, then it's like you don't even get the full interaction with you. And I think that you need to experience your own energy in your own space. And I don't know why, but I just keep feeling like this is going to make you able to have focus better. Like, I keep losing my focus throughout this reading. It's so weird. I'm not like in a weird place emotionally or anything. And now I can see it now that I've said that out loud. But it's like, I think that you're in need of it. If you're constantly asking to grow and you're constantly asking for like more information to be a better person, to elevate out of things, even to release past pains, you don't have to do a ritual. You can use your voice. Like, and I literally have used my voice and asked for the air to just like pull it out of me. And it depends on how many, like how... If you love the way that this reading feels like whoever you are, like it feels like you're an outpour of love when you open up to someone. It feels like a very valuable connection that's easily taken from because that's how you interact. When you interact, you are an outpour. Still making me think of that one reading. But like, if that is happening, then you have more information inside of your body and mind pertaining to the relationship than they do. And that is as weird as it is. It's so weird because I feel like for that reason alone, it seems that you need to, now that like as you elevate, when you're experiencing all of these conscious entities out here, or I mean all of the conscious like information out here and all of the external signs and stuff, you've got to clear out what's going on in here. I wrote that down. I'm really glad it came in because I was beginning to wonder what was going on with my brain. I wrote down, this is something that I knew was going to come in at some point, and it didn't. Okay, finally it did. But I wrote down, like, someone's got to clear out the old to make room for the new. I know it sounds really simple, like that sounds so simple. But what you have to do is no longer interact with low frequency information and try to make sense of it. It's not going to make sense. And the other part of this is it's a very firm message that like there's like a cord cutting. And cord cutting sounds right because I'm telling you, when I have literally removed when I removed my interaction with someone from my daily experience, I've had to bleed it out as many times as it took. And it was dependent on whether or not I had already adapted into being a constant flow of information with and for this person or that person. Because when I love fully. And it's like, I had to use my voice to will that type of stuff. Because, and I just thought of a Rilo Kiley song. She's such a cool line in one of her songs. I forget what the song is called. But it was like, Silver Lining. It was called Silver Lining. And it was like, I never felt so wicked as when I willed our love to die. And listen to that song if you haven't heard it. It's awesome. But this feels like you need to give yourself permission to release all of these old interactions, even the current ones that are not serving you at all, or your life, or your growth, or your purpose. I feel like you need to release them. And that literally means, like, you can visualize that you're not releasing them as a person. You're not releasing the relationship that was. You're just done with the interaction because the information is not on a level that is good for you. So that's you have more information inside than they do pertaining to your interaction with them. So that's why sometimes when you think about like removing people out of your systems, you really have to consciously take hold of that. And this is for someone who needs to release a lot of low frequency interactions, that information from them, because that's going to clear your mind out. It doesn't feel like huge emotions have to be cleared out. It feels like you have to stop going over and over things that don't align right. And you have to start being like, okay, that's not for me. Disengage in your human self. Like, make sure that you are taking some sort of steps to remove them from your space. Yeah, because I know I'm talking to people that interact with energy. You've got to clear out other energies. And when you're interacting with them regularly, like, yeah, you have to do that regularly. But you have to get rid of what's old and is not serving your interaction to go upward. Like, that's the only thing you'd be doing work for. So, and speaking for yourself all alone is not, it is not weird. It's being safe. And like, if you think about it, we're dealing with an invisible thing when we're dealing with energy. So your voice vibrates throughout the air. And I was even thinking that there was like a moment in time where I literally was told that singing was prayer. And I was like, all right. And I was taking everything I could get at that point, because it was in the first house that I cleared. And I sang in it. Okay, so there's another thing that I wasn't sure about. It is definitely in this, which is if you are listening to readings, if you're listening to or doing readings on your own, crazy. Not only readings, but this is for someone in here. But whatever things that you're consuming, like somebody is definitely scrolling way too much, and it's like you're realizing that you didn't actually gain anything after spending time online for a while. And then the other part of this is sometimes, like, I don't want to be like rude, but this is a thing for somebody who's getting this one. A lot of times, because their tarot deck has a set number of cards in it, sometimes things look and feel like third party, depending on who's reading the cards too. Third party, cheaters, look out, someone's going to jail, that type of stuff. Like, so frequently that once you start seeing that stuff, you can start seeing it everywhere because the low frequency feeds itself. That's it. That's it, that's it, that's it. So if something sparks fear in you or insecurity, then bam, it's in. It's going to spark another one. What's another way we can do that? Another trigger. Or another way you can look at that is, what's another temptation? Okay, well, they haven't cheated, but let's see if we can try again. Like things like, I don't know, ridiculous, but low frequency feeds itself. That's all it does. So, you know what's weird? It makes me think of like in a house, when I've cleared houses, one of the things, even in my own home, like still to this very second, I sage mirrors. Not because it's like a portal, not because you can go through it, but because it reflects. And I feel that when there has been low frequency, like low level activity or entity type of stuff happening in homes that I've cleared, it's pingy. It like pings so that you can't like, what was that? So I'm feeling this now, I'm seeing this now, now I'm having a thought about a dream. Like, it pings all over the place to keep you from being able to focus, because you are the high level entity. You are the high frequency. And so that's why I feel like your voice being spoken, like, what's the one thing that they don't have? That they can't speak. They don't have your voice. You have like literal vibration into the air. Interesting. The child that I mentioned, one of my favorite moments of her entire life, she was like, isn't it weird that we say things and we speak and we sing into the air, and all it is movements making something that we hear in our head? Because I was like explaining to her how sound was experienced for some reason, for every reason, because she's a human, so I thought that was important information. But it's like, it's because of something external. But you can't see sound. So if you can speak into the air and cause a vibration with your own noise, then whatever's going on in here, it literally can be affected in the exact same way. It's literally like you are the external stimulus then, creating a sound in here. Yeah, you've got to use your voice. Use it out loud. This is so funny. I just keep feeling like you've got to do it alone in the bathroom. Like you've got to do it alone. And it's because I think that you need to speak it out loud. Use your voice until you hear it clearer in your own mind. Like you've got to hear your voice louder than your questions trying to figure out all of the others. And that is some of the best advice ever in life, is when someone has like explained, when someone just stops trying to explain why someone may be abusive or even, to others or to themselves. Like, when you try to figure them, when you're in an intimate connection with them, you can't always see that like there isn't a solution. You're not going to come to a solution because it's not in your hands. But when it comes to the information contained inside of this and like your mind and your vehicle, it's in your hands. Even if you have to interact and see a human daily, like I can attest to that you can absolutely remove them. But if you're an ever-flowing emotional outpour of love for them, then it takes several outpours. That's where some people can go through like one shroom trip and they can release a lot. And they're like, wow, I really feel like I have a better outlook. And then some people can do that multiple times until they feel like they're loud again in here. So, okay. Or multiple clearings. I don't know about multiple shroom trips. I don't really know if that's like, I don't know enough. So, I'm just talking about like the bleeding out of the interaction, like the information that you are constantly creating when you love someone, when you care about someone, or when you don't. If you're interacting, you're constantly creating information because it's in there. So you're doing something with it at all times. Okay. I'm going to end it at that. I hope this was helpful. This was a really kind of crazy one. It's crazy because like I don't talk about cord cutting, but it sounds right. Because I think I visualize like removing someone from your spine because that's the center of everything that you experience. So, anyway. And it's a very emotional outpour, the same as a clearing of a house. It's like when you're clearing a house of low level, low frequency entity and activity, what you're doing is helping it evolve. Because it can. It just can't disappear. It has to go up. So that's what happens inside of you. Like sometimes they have to experience stuff they didn't want to experience, or they have to do something different with what they are constantly experiencing over and over and over again until they're like, oh, I don't have to feel that way. I've been wrong about it being my fault all this time. And this feels like someone who's had a couple of moments in your adult life where you've recognized, I feel like I give an awful lot and I don't get that back in return. So, yeah, use your voice out loud until you can hear it louder than everything else in here. Oh, there's a Regina. I just love this song. That's why. Sorry. I love this song so much. But it was Regina Spektor, and I think it's called The Call. Again, I'm going to need to look that one up. But she says, let your voice grow louder and louder until it's a battle cry. And that's what I feel like you have to do. You have to force your own self to say, like, get this out of here. Get this out of my spine. Please help me get them out. Like, put your own emotion into it and decide that you need to experience a release. Crazy. It feels like a theme lately that old stuff is trying to exercise itself out. Okay. So I'm really going to end it at that now. I hope this was helpful. Definitely let me know again in the comments, and I will see you in the next reading.